So today's tour will start off with my fiddle leaf fig, this one of them anyway. This is my largest fiddle that I have, or my tallest. And it goes all the way up to the ceiling. It's starting to bend over. I took the lower leaves off because my kittens were getting to them and playing with them and making them look tattered. And so I took them away. At the bottom, I have one of my well-fin sansevieria, and then just some pots to keep my kittens out of the area. And then I also have a couple of cactus and some project plants that my son is working on. So these are not necessarily mine as much as they are plants that he is working on making better. We have two of those planters. Next to my fiddle leaf fig, I have this beautiful spider plant. If you're familiar with my channel, you know how much I love spider plants. And she's doing really well. She's adjusting to this window. She's been here for about a month now. This window is very hot. As you can see, it gets a lot of sun. And that can be a challenge when you're not used to getting this much light. But I did gradually adjust her to it, but she still has a little bit of dryness. But she seems to be doing well. She's growing a lot, and her babies are holding on. Next, I have this beautiful display. This is one of my favorite parts of my plant collection. Any of the plants that I put into this area do very, very well. So here we are at this beautiful display that I changed the plants to for the most part. My Snow Queen pothos is something that stays here all the time. I love this plant so much in this spot. It does very well. And so far, my kittens are not destroying it. She has a couple of leaves that were attacked by them when I took her down to water her, but for the most part, they've been leaving her alone. Now, as far as the winter care for these plants, I definitely have to give this a little bit of a chop because I don't want it to catch the eye of my kittens, and because keeping these plants trimmed will make them put energy into bigger leaves. And in the wintertime, because they're not getting the optimal climate, they do not put out as big of leaves as they do in the growing season. Okay, so next to my Snow Queen pothos, I have my Pearls and Jade pothos, and she is a beauty. She is not as fast growing as the rest of my pothos, but she is very, very beautiful, and she has been doing well for me. I am thinking about trying to propagate her and give her a means to grow larger leaves, but right now I'm just so content with the way she looks hanging over the edge of this ledge that I haven't really given it much attention. Above my two pothos, I have this beautiful Aglaonema. This is my Etta Rose Aglaonema. She only seems to put out pink leaves now in this window. Originally, she put out pink and green leaves, but now it is only pink leaves that she puts out, and I'm okay with that. I love pink and green together, and so having the small splashes of green is enough for me with these beautiful pink leaves. I've had her for quite some time. I almost lost her at one point, but she came back when she was put in this window. Like I said, it seems as if everything that goes into this window thrives. This is a south-facing window, so it is perfect, and it is on the top floor of my home, which means it's getting all of the heat that rises from our lowest level all the way up. Next to this beautiful Aglaonema, we have another Aglaonema. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? That red vein coming down the center of her leaves is so incredibly beautiful. This is another one that I almost lost, but she's still here. And again, this window changed things around for her. I guess the vein isn't really red. It's more hot pink. Yeah, we'll give it hot pink. Next to that, I have a giant plant that spans from down here at this tattered leaf that got caught in my vacuum cleaner all the way over here above Giraffe. This is a Mayoi Tahiti, and this was a gift to me, and I love this gift. This is a beautiful, beautiful plant, and I am still in shock that I have it. I have so many of them around my house because it grows very aggressively, and so I've been able to put pieces of it all around my house. I love her. Next, we're going to dig through this pile over here. We have an SP Columbia, and she has been here for about a month. Originally, she was being exposed to entirely too much light, but now she's getting the perfect amount of light. She turned her leaves to face the sun, but it doesn't look as if she's stretching to get to it, so I'm happy about that. Underneath her, there is a El Choco Red. She was a little baby, and now she's getting a lot bigger. She is not fighting for light, so I think she is content and happy where she is. Next to her, I have a cutting of a Thai constellation monstera, or should I say a monstera Thai constellation. And this is a top cutting that was getting much too much light. Then I decided to put her over here to see how she would do, and so far she seems to be doing really well. Behind there, we have this beautiful, beautiful Alocasia mycolitziana. This has been a challenge plant for me for a very long time. I finally found a way to make it so that this plant thrived, and now she has nice big leaves. She was a baby when I purchased her. Putting her into this window has changed it even more. She seems to be so happy. Her leaves were a little bit droopy before, but now she is completely content. Next to her, I have the only anthurium in this space, and this is my Anthurium radicans luxurians cross, and she is one of my favorite anthurium. I talk about her all the time. This is just one of the baby plants from my mama plant, and I love her. She is the only one that I try to squeeze out a little bit of space for, because if you look right behind this leaf right here, you'll see that she has a new baby coming out. And I do not want it to get stifled, because then it will not open properly. So she is there doing the best, and I love that plant. Now, just to add a little something about this area has the perfect conditions for winter plant care because the plants group together this way. Yes, when you treat for pests, you have to treat all of these plants as if they are infected, because they would more than likely be if they had a pest. But the plants will be stronger grouped together because they will actually create a humid atmosphere that will make them stronger to resist pests. The other thing that I did to increase the humidity is I put trays underneath these plants. A lot of them are in no drainage, others are in drainage, but there are trays underneath these plants, just like this one, inside this crate, as well as this right here. And the plants have a reservoir of water that they are sitting on. So they are getting so much moisture sitting in this area. So of course that makes them all happy. This mycolitziana is definitely telling me that that is true, because this plant likes to have a lot of humidity in my home. So group them together, treat them all for pest if something has it, and then add a little bit of humidity underneath in a nice bright warm window. And so because of all of those factors being ticked, these plants will thrive and do very, very well. Anybody who's not getting enough sun, they will fight and scrape just to get out and get more sun. Now right here, I have the newest leaf on my Alocasia pink dragon, and she is a big one. She's very big, and she has very different markings on her leaves. Very beautiful, and I am so happy to have her. This one is not completely hardened off yet, so I'm not going to touch her. Below my Alocasia pink dragon, I have this baby Alocasia regal shield. This was just a baby plant in my mama plant that I have in my greenhouse. I brought her in and had her on a table, and my kittens got to her, and they thought she was so much fun to play with. Wasn't very nice, but they're babies. What can I do? Over here I have another Snow Queen pothos, and this one definitely needs water. I see a limp. Oh, maybe she got attacked by the babies as well, this little piece here, because the rest of the plant feels good, as if it can go one more day without water, but this is limp, so maybe I'll take that down and propagate it. Back here I have one of the newer additions to this area. This is an all green spider plant that I believe I'll be putting out into my greenhouse because I have one of the babies from that plant. I took it off and put, and this is a propagation as well, but I took off one of the babies and put it in my greenhouse, and the leaves are so big and wide that I have to put this one back out there because I think it would just do so much better. Now behind the Mycoliziana, we have this Oxalis. Oxalis are wonderful plants because they just keep coming back. I can't tell you how many times I've had this plant die back, I guess not this plant, the original plant that I have, which is outside in my greenhouse. This plant actually just had some of the rhizomes end up in one of my Alocasia plants because I reused the soil and it grew out, and so I just potted it up. And you'll see that when I potted it up, I also took some of the Alocasia bulbs or corms out of that plant, and so this is a double plant as well. The plants that keep on giving. Now behind that I have another SP Columbia, and this is another one. This plant doesn't seem to like very much light because it was getting a ton of light, and so it has a little bit of a yellowish tinge, but now that it's back here, it doesn't have that problem. It's doing very well, and it is not stretching for light, so that tells me that it's happy and content. Now above that SP Columbia, I have this gorgeous Alocasia heterophylla dragon's breath. This is the latest leaf on this plant. She's beautiful and she's very strong. The stems are very, very strong. I love that because that tells me that it's happy. Okay, now if we go back here, we are going to see one of my challenge plants that seem to have a space that they really like now, and that is my Alocasia cuprea. You'll see some white residue on some of my plants because I do use diatomaceous earth to prevent any kinds of problems, to prevent bugs from ravishing my plants. And that is another tip that I will give you for winter plant care. Just remembering that pests or bugs look for some place to hunker down in the wintertime. They can't go out, stay outside. They look for a place to find a nice warm place to preserve themselves through the cold season. Look at this. Think about being a bug who eats plants. This looks like an organic deli. There's no way they wouldn't be attracted to it. And so yes, I spend a lot of time cleaning my plants and protecting them, but it's better to take those steps instead of having to fight a pest in the end. With all of the efforts that I put forth to keep my plants from getting pests, every once in a while I find the spider mite. I find there's another little moth that I found on my plants. Every morning I was getting up and seeing a little hole in one of the leaves on my plants, and then early morning I got up and I saw a little moth, and that moth, I Googled it, that moth was eating my plant. So with all of the efforts that I put forth, washing my plants, treating them, every once in a while I still find something on my plants, which I can't blame them. This looks delicious. And I don't eat my plants, but this looks delicious. So my suggestion is do the pre-work so that you don't have to go out and fight a pest that doesn't want to let go of your beautiful organic smorgasbord. Okay, So those are all of the plants, I believe. I believe I showed all of the plants in this area, but I'm just going to do a double check because we do have quite a few here. Okay. Is that it? I didn't miss anything. I got that one. I got them all. Yes. Oh no, I missed one. I did miss one. Right back here, there is a baby Philodendron, Florida green. Isn't her leaf so cute? That's a little cutie. She's in water, and she seems to be quite happy right there. Love that. I see something else I missed, and here it is. This is an exotica cutting that is now its own little plant, and I love exotica, and I think that when they are sticking out in an area like this, they just look so amazing. Over here, I do see that I have an Alocasia poly, and she seems to be doing well. She doesn't seem to be forcing herself out of this little corner, and she's staying nice and green. She's been here for some time, so I guess she's getting all the light that she wants. And I do let them dictate what they're looking for, because the reality is this light is very bright. If I take something and put it into the light, generally speaking, it starts to get a little bit sun bleached. I put this one into the light and it got all sun bleachy. So I'm not going to do that anymore. They reach for the light when they want it, but if they don't want any more light, they don't take it. Okay, so this is my beautiful garden cluster, and then there's my spider plant from a distance, my beautiful fig, and then over here I have another fig, and this is my fiddle leaf fig that had 5 stems. Now it has 6 stems because I did trim it, and so it developed an additional stem after that. Putting this plant over here is the only option I have. I wish I could move this plant, but it loves this spot so much, and we all know that fiddle leaf figs do not like to be bothered. They like to be left where they are happy, and so I can't move it. I would love to move it because I would like to have, this plant really does block a lot of light, but so far it's been doing well. My kittens haven't been destroying it, and so I have to just leave it where it is. And I'm not apologetic in the sense that I feel that there's something wrong with it being here, as much as I would just love to have a little bit more of this light shine through, but this plant commands this light, and so I have to leave it in this spot. And now you can see the exposure that they get. This entire wall exposes it to southern facing sunlight, and because it is now winter time, and all of the trees that are normally blocking this in the summer months, they're bald now, and so there is a lot more light here, which is why I need to allow the plants to take in the light that they want. Next to my fiddle leaf fig, I have my Ficus elastica, and so this is my Ficus laurata, this is my Ficus elastica, and this plant used to be bigger. I had it outside. It was doing absolutely beautifully. I mean, just amazing. And then I brought it inside, put it in what I thought was the perfect condition for its winter stay, and it started dropping leaves. And so immediately I moved it, and I moved it next to this plant, nice and close, and it took off again. Now I see I have lots of new growth coming in over there. Lots of new growth coming in with each stem, because now it's getting more humidity being clustered in this corner, and it is getting different light. I had it in a west facing window. It is now in a south facing window, and this plant obviously loves to have the bright light, and so I'm just going to give it what it wants. It has not missed a beat since then. Next to my Ficus elastica, I have this beautiful cactus that I don't exactly know the name for. I've never even looked up the name for this plant, to be honest with you. It started off as a $4 purchase from Walmart, on clearance, and now she is huge. During the summer months, she lives outside, and I brought her in for the winter, for its winter stay. And of course, I have to give it a window that will give it the optimum amount of light, because cactus like to have a lot of light. And so I put it here, and originally I found information saying that I shouldn't actually water this plant in the winter months, but I found that this plant started to go flat and dry when I was not watering it. The minute I watered it again, it took off and started looking really happy and healthy. And so I water this cactus once every month and a half. I do not leave it without water. I guess it will sustain itself and come back, but it seems like it's getting what it needs in order for it to continue to grow, because it has grown since I brought it inside for its winter stay. I actually dropped it and it cracked at the very top over there. I was so hurt when that thing fell and cracked, but it's okay. It's doing well now. Next to my beautiful cactus, I have this Scindapsus trubii Moonlight, and she has lots of treatment on her. I just need to wipe down each one of the leaves. She didn't have a pest as much as I just treated her. You can see the leaves that never got the treatment because they're pretty new, and they're so beautiful. I love that plant. I've had her for quite some time, and in the summertime I do bring her outside to get some fresh air, but I didn't leave her outside last summer. The summer before, I left her outside and she got really, really big, and I propagated her, but she is beautiful. I do think she needs to be cut. For her winter stay, I think right here would be a good place to cut her, because I don't want her to start to get leggy because she's inside and she's not in her optimum health. And so I think that just cutting her will make her force her energy into different parts of her bushy top. And I prefer that. And to me, that is what makes my plants really do well in the winter months. Over here, I have my Philodendron Pluto. This Pluto was a $3.99 clearance purchase in the grocery store. I love her. I just propagated the top of her. Okay, above my Pluto, I have my So Silver, and she definitely needs to be trimmed. She is one that would do very well to be trimmed right now, because she is developing a very viney look, but I love the viney look that she has. She's in the pot here, and she travels all the way up to the ceiling, and then across. Oh, I can't reach it. And then across this vine. And you see how small her leaves are, but I just love the way that looks so much. These leaves are absolute perfection. I love that plant, and I have cut it many times, and she just comes back beautifully. Wow, she's beautiful. Now this is another special plant for me. This is my Pothos and Joy, and this was a plant shared with me a couple of years ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. And this plant, it's so special because it was shared with me. It was a Wishlist plant that was shared with me. And this one has not been very easy for me to grow. Look at that beautiful leaf. She really hasn't been easy for me to grow. She seems to be a little bit more sensitive to being left without water or having too much sun. As you can see, she has some spotting on her, because originally I had her on the other side in direct light. She did not like that. So I put her back here, and she seems to be doing much better with that. But I love this plant. I love it especially because it was a gift to me that when I say this was a plant that I wanted and searched and hunted for, and then to have it shared with me, it was just amazing. Okay, behind my beautiful Enjoy, I have a baby pink dragon. Yes, this is a baby pink dragon. Let me look at the stems. Yes. And I had it over in the cluster, but it was not getting enough light and it's too small to actually go toward the light that it would want. And so I had to just put it in a different area. And again, this is sitting on a reservoir of water to keep the humidity up in this area. Next to this plant, I have this Mayoi Tahiti, and she was getting a little bit too much light. She was in a different location previously, and so she got too much light. She definitely doesn't like to have the bright light, but right here where she is, she seems to be happy. There's another one above her that is doing really well and very happy. Look at that. I love the pink spots that go down the spine of this plant. It is so beautiful. And then, let's see, to the right, I think that's it. And then up here, I have a Philodendron ring of fire. This is the smaller one that I had, that I purchased for a lot more money than I did my big one. But that is what that plant right there is. And I just recently put her there and she seems to be content and happy. And she is right next to my monstera deliciosa that got burned on a grow light. And this is a baby to my Big Mo. This was a cutting that I took off of Big Mo, and she's doing really well. Love Big Mo's baby. Okay, and that's all of the plants that I have in this area. And then down below I have a spider plant, and this spider plant is one that I purchased and I did haul with you guys. This was doing so poorly. And you can see most of the plant was starting to look like this right here, which I have to cut that off. This plant was doing so poorly, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna move it and put it into my happy plant window. And since then it is doing so nicely in that the plant is very firm again. It was not firm in the past. So now it's firm again. And so I know it's happy. I think that I will leave my son's project plants out of this tour because I don't know if he would like to share it himself, but I'll leave that out of this tour, and I will just give you another showing of the beauties. Thank you so very much for watching this plant tour today. This plant window holds some of my favorite arrangements in my collection. This window has been very good to me, and I will continue to share with you the updates that I make in this plant video, in this plant window. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.